crazy, go crazy, go crazy, no crazy, no crazy, no crazy,
How's it going on, Weekly? And today is a very special day. Only 29 days into the new year, and I'm finally putting out another Big 3 review. Sunday just hasn't been working out for me recently. I'll get to theory crafting, note-taking, researching, even start, cropping some pictures for the video, and then I'll realize it's Monday and I have to cover Vinland Saga, and then by then it just becomes too late in the week for me. I'll try to restructure things for a one-off theory, but I got work to do. So I'm glad to be back. Today things just seem to flow so easily, so I do have the opportunity to put a video out in a timely manner, so I hope you enjoy. Let's start with One Piece 1073. It's wild to think that Zoro versus Mihawk was the least exciting thing we got this chapter. Still, it's cool to finally get the clash we've been waiting for since his intro in 1059. And a surprise to nobody, Buckingham Stussy is Miss Bucking. The community kind of figured this one out very quickly, so this was less of a reveal this chapter and more of a confirmation, or just us waiting to be like, oh yeah, good. They finally gave that to us. It is kind of poetic in a sense that, she's controlling a potential failed clone while someone's controlling a successful clone of her. Speaking of, Weevil's back, and he's not that bad of a guy, it seems. We learned that he protected Sphinx Island while Marco was away, which is pretty cool. Apparently there's some debate on the timeline of those events, but that's not for me to figure out. That's for the community as a whole to decide on and me to report. I know the Marines are supposed to be the bad guys, but they're even more diabolical in this chapter for whatever reason. But it was a very nice choice to bring Nezumi back right after the focus on Kuma, not just because he's a great example of a screwed up Marine, but because he also wears ears. Things are getting a little crazy out here in the last saga, maybe a little too crazy for Oda. After realizing how poorly received Green Bull's introduction was by the fans, Oda ran some admiral PR and gave him an off-screen W, which kind of confirms that being as strong as Whitebeard, it doesn't matter if you aren't a skilled fighter or, don't have his fruit. And speaking of wielding great power irresponsibly, let's talk about the cover page. I initially thought the gunpowder flower thing was an explanation for the flowers that appear in the island that Usopp went to, but no, not at all. It seems like it's just a showcase of Vegapunk's power over the idea of conflict or war. And this specific cover page I think is going to become just more important going forward. It's going to age like fine wine in a sense, because both for the remainder of the arc and for the final war/skirmishes, we're kind of just setting up just how deep Vegapunk's influence has gone. In a way, I think we're supposed to be getting the idea in our heads that when Vegapunk appears, there's some type of conflict that will be either resolved or redefined. Or maybe this just means that, there's some type of failsafe inside of the Seraphim that makes them go full pacifist, hence the name Pacifista. But the main thing to take away from this cover page right now is that from the beginning to the very end of this chapter, there's one question on everyone's mind. Where is Vegapunk? Well, I think I know exactly what happened here. It's very simple. Someone left behind a paw teleport for Vegapunk. Either Kuma himself or Vegapunk while he was working on Kuma. I mean, there's no other explanation for why these two just straight up vanished. And the obvious retort would be, well, if Kuma left that behind, why didn't Vegapunk just use that to get out as soon as he realized, the world government was going to come for him? Well, I assume it's because he saw the Straw Hats and decided, well, this is an opportunity for me to not just escape by myself, but with all of my other vessels. It makes sense for someone as organized as Vegapunk to have more than one way to escape the situation that he was in. But since this is now not the preferred way to escape, he's kind of in a pickle. Which leads me to my theory for the week, which is that I don't think we're seeing Vegapunk for the rest of this arc. Or, just to be safe, the next time we see Vegapunk, it'll be to resolve some very important conflict. And why do I think this? Well, very simple. It's because everything that we've seen in Egghead so far has shown us this is what he's about. He's a conflict resolutionary. We've seen resolutions for famine, energy, knowledge, and even guardians for those inventions. But most importantly, the Seraphim, who have been both the source and the cure for the conflict this arc. Since their first appearance, the Seraphim have switched sides like 3 times, forever suspended in this neutral state, and I don't think that's because of plot necessity. It's because Egghead is supposed to be reminiscent of Enies Lobby. For one, the world government is once again trying to eliminate someone whose very existence threatens to uncover a dark history. Cypherpole is here to carry out that elimination, and to top it all off, we've once again been reminded of the lesson of Enies Lobby, that no matter what weapon you hold, being alive isn't a sin. No existence can be a crime. This goes not only for Vegapunk, who wields countless creations, but for the creations themselves. We're once again witnessing how the purpose of someone or something's existence depends on the person guiding it, much like how pirates and marines can both be good or bad depending on their leader. It's funny because the Seraphim are very much human, so the way they carry out orders is sort of like a distorted version of will, where instead of being influenced to carry out a task left behind by someone they idolize, they're programmed to follow the orders of a certain people. It's no coincidence that this feels so similar to how the Smile Fruits in Wano were like a distorted version of Joy Boy spreading laughter. And this is also probably why Stussy being the first successful clone is so important here. She should have her own free will, right? Which means that Vegapunk hasn't just created life, but he's created proof of either free will or determinism. It all depends on how he explains it. And I think once characters start to ask this question in the story is when he'll come back to give us that answer. Also, it's not just Stussy. We can't forget that Kuma's another major example of this exact theme. I take it once we finally get Kuma's backstory, it'll tie in nicely to this whole idea of free will. Only question after that is whether or not that term is an oxymoron. Anyway, onward to Jujutsu Kaisen, chapter 211. Not gonna lie, the best part of this chapter was Kurusu being happy that Yuji made her look good. Mad cute. I'm just saying, just one chapter ago, Yuji was worried about her replacing Nobara, but they seem to be gelling together very well right now. Just goes to show how well Yuji takes constructive criticism. And once again, one of the most obvious twists of the year, Sumiki is not Sumiki. It seems like, whatever curse she's currently imbued with is either taking hold or causing a bit of a personality split. I can't say I saw this coming from a mile away, though I kind of can say that. Once we started to skip forward 3 hours and she had already been retrieved that easily, I felt like another wrench had to be thrown in the plan, which is why I keep stressing the importance of these timestamps. Tengen was taken just after midnight, November 16th. This chapter takes place about half a day later. What Kenjaku has accomplished in this time is going to be super important very soon, and maybe it has to do with the ripening that we saw at the beginning of this chapter. Let's just hope that whatever Kenjaku's cooking up right now comes with at least some type of motivation for his character. Since Jujutsu Kaisen is apparently ending this year, we have that much less time to give this man a decent goal so he doesn't flop in the end. What do I mean exactly? Well, I guess I gotta get something off my chest. Ever since chapter 202, I haven't really had confidence in Kenjaku as an antagonist. Sure, he's shown that he can go toe-to-toe with the best of them, but I am just tired of these shonen antagonists who want to destroy the world for shits and giggles. The other iconic antagonists who've wanted to wipe the slate clean at least had some type of vision of the world afterwards, with at least them at the center. But given that the 2 of the 3 manga that I'm covering right now have built up these mastermind antagonists for so long, just for them to come out and be like, yeah, I'm just trying to fuck around and find out, is annoying. Not only is it anticlimactic, it's annoying. Like, at least when Eren did it, he felt like there was no other way. I don't know. Let me know if I'm bugging out. Anyway, while we're on the topic of disappointments, My Hero 379. This is gonna be quick. I get that we have to show off our reformed villains at some point in this arc, but just like the love triangle and the mutant situations, I really find it hard to care. Nothing that's being thrown in our faces right now feels like it's been carefully planned out. It all feels very last minute, and not in the sense that it feels rushed, but just contrived. Like, sure, there's technically precedent for all of these themes to be discussed now, but the setup just isn't good enough. Yeah, Lady Nagant was first introduced about 60 chapters ago, but that weak-ass backstory wasn't enough for me to care about her return. I honestly think I would have cared for her more if she died in Midoriya's arms, or if she left behind a single bullet for a different hero to use, and then through that we got her backstory or something like that. I could not care about watching her die right now. Ochako begging Himiko to have a talk about love at this point is a joke. The reintroduction of Gento and Brava just reminds me of how weird this series is. I don't care what the wiki says, that's a kid. And on top of it all, we're resolving Shigaraki's storyline in the most blunt way possible. Like, he's saving himself because he secretly hoped to destroy his own world, not the world around him, even though that's exactly what we just got a couple of chapters ago. What? Nah, man, it's sad to see, but My Hero's going out pretty bad right now. Which really sucks because a few chapters ago when things started to go south for the heroes, I wasn't sure if this meant that the climax would drag out for longer than it needed to, or that we're about to get real with the heroes. It turns out we went secret path number 3, which is we're gonna have somehow the extended and rushed ending. And Kohei has the nerve to pull out a fucking phone at this point like this is a Kodak moment. No, bro, you're documenting mid. I'm inclined to believe that the story of how we all became heroes means the villains too, and how the villains ended up looking like angels because they got talk no jutsu at the end. That's the time that this manga is on right now, and I'm not with it. Anyway, that's all I have to say about that. I hope you all have a great day. I hope you enjoyed the theorizing, the ranting, and everything in between. Anyway, be safe, enjoy the rest of your week. I'll see you very soon. Bye.